Welcome back to another video, guys. In today's episode we're actually going to do a little reptile room tour. It's been a little while since anybody's been along to do one here, so I thought it's about time to do one myself. And if you've seen Cooper's last one, it's a great video, but at the same time we've had a few more changes since then, and there's a couple more animals that have arrived too, including some snakes that haven't been aired to YouTube yet, so we'll get to have a look at those as well. But stick around and I hope you enjoy. So as most of you can probably see, there have been a few changes since Coop's been here. Quite a few new enclosures have been built. And yeah, definitely a few more animals have been acquired as well, actually. Things that I've wanted for a little while, and some things that are, kind of crucial to what I end up wanting to do here. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. And I'll try to make sure that I at least get to show you one of each species, if I've got a few numbers in some different animals. But yeah, we're going to try to highlight everyone here, even some of the guys that haven't gotten a lot of attention in the past in previous videos. Stick around. So we'll start with outside first and foremost. This is probably going to get the least amount of attention in this video, so it has gotten a lot of attention in other videos, so I'm not going to stick around too much on it. But the one animal that I do actually want to point out that rarely gets any other attention is my Cunningham skink. This guy is super skittish, so I'm not going to get too close just to start, because otherwise he'll duck over it. He's got a little hole underneath that rock there where he likes to hide out. But he lives in the turtle pond with all the turtles. As you can see, it's pretty overgrown at the moment as well, but that's alright. Spring's around the corner and there's jobs to be done here. You'll also probably notice that the filter's not actually running on it either, so I've got a bit of a leak in the filter, so that's oh, there he goes. That's one of my jobs for this spring. So not much else has changed out here. These guys here are my blotch blue tongues. These guys are fantastic animals. Quite often during summer they're a little bit less willing to play ball. These guys are just kept out here in these old rabbit hutches that I've since converted and just covered them with appropriate wire or fly screen or whatever, just so they don't rub their noses. They thrive out here. They do really, really well. Here's one of my females. This is the mother to last year's babies. So if you watch Cooper's videos, then you would have noticed that he's got a few, or he's got a couple of extra blue tongues that he ended up picking up off me. Such stunning animals. You can see how easily they disappear in some long grass. Yeah, that's my blotchies. So being winter at the moment, I'm not going to actually go through and pull out all the turtles, just because they're all kind of brumating a little bit at the moment. But I thought I'd get one of the long necks out to quickly give you a look. Good chance for him to get a little quick sunbake in. These guys have been pretty subdued over winter though. I usually don't see them for a few months every year because they're always tucked down in the cold water. Alright, well in this room, let's kick it off with a bang. Let's have a look at Loki. You're going to have to excuse his messy enclosure. He is a water monitor. He's a very gross water monitor, and believe it or not, this was cleaned before starting filming. But somebody decided he needed to go to the bathroom right now, which is pretty stereotypical of any animal. They seem to like to be able to do it on cue. So Loki's enclosure is quite large. It's about 2 meters long, 1.2 tall, and about 900 mil deep. He loves his little basking shelf up here. It's one of his favourite spots. especially after a dip. Yeah, you can see his background. That was a new addition that I've done a video on somewhat recently as well. So if you want to check out how to do kind of like an old rustic background, go back through some other videos and find that one. It's still not quite finished yet. I've got some other plans in the works for this enclosure. But yeah, that's probably, I'd have to say he's probably my favourite reptile here. I know it's a little bit hard to be biased, but just the intelligence in this animal is quite extraordinary. And he definitely does give me a bit of a challenge when it comes to keeping reptiles as well, just because, you know, his own behaviour, especially if I'm trying to work inside the enclosure or clean it up or whatever, he likes to investigate, and he can be a little bit cantankerous at times too, so that always makes for an interesting time looking after this fella. There you go, there's Loki. The yeah, mangrove monitor. So in this enclosure I've got my Tristis orientalis, or freckled monitors. There is actually 4 of these guys in here. I've got 2 adults and then 2 sub-adults, which are actually the offspring of the 2 original adults. And so we've actually got 2 males, 2 females. And the father and the mother of the 2 juveniles they've actually been very accepting of the 2 juveniles. They got these awesome fake termite mounds that they quite often hide in. They'll probably be under this now. There you go, there's that looks like Dad. If you want to see how I made these fake termite mounds, I've got a video out on that as well, so just go back through and find that one. They're beautiful little monitors. Just thought I'd come in and get a little bit more of a close-up of this guy. So this is a sub-adult male. I have to say that what I've noticed with breeding monitors in captivity is my adults always seem to be quite skittish, or somewhat skittish, and generally their offspring seem to be pretty good. So the offspring to these guys, they quite regularly actually come out and bask out in the open for us to have a look at. He's obviously had enough of my presence though. So let's go on to the next enclosure. So this is my other URS enclosure, which did have my juvenile freckled monitors in it, but now it's got my juvenile olive atlas. We'll get him out and have a bit of a closer look, hey? It's a pretty basic enclosure at the moment. Definitely got plans down the track to revamp this a little bit, but for now he's enjoying having the space and sneaking up on me slightly. So here you go, here's a quick look at Atlas. An olive python. Beautiful natured little snake. Definitely got a lot of personality. Loves to climb. There you go, mate. Yeah, can't wait till this guy gets a little bit more size on him, but I'm enjoying him while he's small too. You'll have to excuse the glass on this one a little bit. This enclosure was put together pretty quickly. I don't think I've put it up anywhere actually. I may have mentioned it in my other frog video. That's just another little bioactive frog enclosure. This has got a few different species in here. Got a couple of Perron's tree frogs, some red-eyed tree frogs, and I've also got some Blue Mountains tree frogs. That's a heat cord that's just taped against the wall there, just so there's a little bit of a warm panel. That's just an excess length of heat cord out of another snake rack. So I'm already paying the electricity. May as well use it to heat up the frogs as well. I think down in here actually I've got a Blue Mountains hiding out. Yeah, there he is. They're quickly becoming one of my favourite frog species, that's for sure. Got a beautiful call to them. Quite a decent sized frog as well. Don't mind killing a bromeliad here or there though. Yeah, so this is a little Exoterra. The dimensions to it are 90 centimeters tall, 45 deep, 45 wide. Yeah, I'll have to excuse the glass. I need to give that a bit of a clean with a razor, I reckon. It's got a few frog skins on it. So over here I've got a little snake rack. This is where Atlas came out of. I've actually got my male water python in here and my female in here. I've got them in separate tubs inside of the enclosure just to until they get a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to let them go into these bigger tubs. Just a little bit scared that they're a little bit too small to squeeze their heads out the top there, but they'd probably be okay. But at the end of the day, I'm a little bit paranoid, and it's taken me so long to get these snakes that the last thing I need to do is start chasing one of them around the garage. But we'll get these guys out and have a look at them. And I've also got another snake that hasn't been seen down here, so we'll get her out too. Okay, so this is my female water python. Very snappy individual, typical water python temperament. I still love them even with the attitude. But I had to bring them out in the sun just so I could show you that iridescent colours. Just phenomenal. You can see that beautiful white chin to her as well. That awesome little yellow belly. These guys have done very good, so they've only been here for about a week now. And they've already eaten a couple of fuzzy mice each. So I'm very impressed with these little snakes, and I'm so stoked to finally have these guys on board, as it's taken me a long time to find some, which is kind of ridiculous because they're such a cute little cheap snake, but they're just not around. But yeah, looking forward to these guys having a little bit more size in them so I can release them into those bigger tubs, but so far so good. They're just doing fine in these little click-clack setups. Stunning animals. So here's my male water python. You can see he's got that typical water python attitude. How's your mate? He's only a young snake at the end of the day. You know, if you put a little bit of work down, these guys can, good chance that they could calm down a fair bit, but at the same time, if they don't, they don't. It's a species I was after regardless of attitude. They're beautiful little animals. And phenomenal little snakes. So this is who's been hiding out in the bottom of that rack. Little female zebra, jungle zeb. One of my friends was getting rid of a few of his jungles to move on to some other projects, so I happened to pick up a small handful of him. But yeah, this beautiful girl was part of that. I'm kind of planning down the line to be able to breed my bigger female jungle. This is after some males, or a male, to put over her, which we'll have a look at shortly. But I ended up coming home with a couple of options anyway. And this stunning girl. Head pattern's phenomenal. Only young snakes. They're going to colour up very nice, I reckon. Okay, so the next enclosures we're going to actually look at is the snake rack here, which I've only got a couple of individuals in at the moment, and a couple of the new little jungle hatchies on top there. And then after that I'll quickly go over this little frog tank. So we're just going to cover these guys quickly. There's a couple of Palmerston jungle boys. These guys are super snappy little snakes, but they are absolutely stunning. At the moment they're very tiny, so they're only just they've been being fed pinky mice for quite a while actually, so I've just started them on fuzzies, start getting some size on them pretty quick, just because small snakes are fragile snakes in my opinion, generally. Yeah, we'll quickly have a look at his brother, and we'll put these guys back and move on to the other rack. Alright, so here's the other boy. He'd actually be my pick of the litter out of the two. He's a stunning little animal. His yellows just seem to be a little bit more neon than his brother's. His brother's a bit more of a caramelly colour. Still both equally as stunning, and for tiny little snakes like these, the blacks are blacks, the yellows are yellows, there's not much smudging at all, if any. So Anyway, hopefully this guy wants to reproduce for me. So I reckon it'll look great over my my big girl car. Okay, so this little guy, this is the snake that got me into snakes. This is Severus snake. I know, very original. He's a Stimson's python, probably somewhat of a New South Wales locality. I've actually got no idea. I got this guy years ago off a good friend, Rick Worthy. And he's been here ever since, and he's not going anywhere, that's for sure. He's an awesome little dude. He's the one that taught me, he's taught me a lot about snakes, including freaking out for about 9 months when he decided not to eat when he was a juvenile. And then when summer came around, he was bulletproof from there. But awesome little snake. I don't think he's had any love on the on any of the YouTube episodes done here. So I thought it was about time to get this little guy out. Hey mate. Okay, if we're talking firsts, in particular first snakes, well, this is my first carpet python car. She was a very spur of the moment purchase. My wife and I were actually going up to the Blue Mountains for a quick weekend away, and as you do, I was on Reptiles Down Under at the time and thought it'd be a great idea to pick up a new pet. I was going back maybe 5-6 years ago now, something like that. So yeah, got her as a bit of a whim purchase. But this is the girl that I'm wanting to actually get a clutch out of. As you can see, she's a beautiful black and yellow. She's actually a puppy dog of a jungle as well. I think jungles get a lot of bad reps, but I think most of the times that's just because they're a little juvenile and they're a little bit snappy. Whereas this big girl, she's quite a well-behaved snake actually. As long as food's not involved, but hey, that's being a snake, right? Yeah, you can see she's got a very docile temperament. Beautiful colours to her as well. She just wants to get on top of the phone. But yeah, so these are the only guys that are in that snake rack. Just these two for now. And the other usual occupants of that snake rack will visit shortly. Okay, so sitting above the snappy pair of jungles there is my green stream frogs. So in here we've actually got 4 little green stream frogs, which I've recently done a video on these guys as well, so if I don't find them today, please go back and have a look at that video. These guys are such cool little frogs. I'm not exactly sure if where they're hiding out. I've had a quick look, but can't seem to find them at the moment. But anyway, this is their beautiful enclosure. It's going so far so good. I think there's going to be a little bit of plant die-off, but that's pretty normal whenever you're kind of replanting things. Trying to see if I can find one for you. They must all be in the log today. There's a bit of a hollow log here that's quite large, so quite a lot of the time they're hiding out in there, and I kind of have to come in at night time to actually spot these guys because they are quite secretive. Anyway, there's their little enclosure. So moving right along, we've got this impressive fella. This is Billy the Frilly. He's currently doing a bit of a splits maneuver right there. So in Coop's video you would have actually noticed that these enclosures are a little bit different. I had a good hand from one of my mates, Peter Mudge. He came across and helped me build up these guys. So I had a bit of a flood in here where I had some water actually coming down in through the roof, and that caused all my melamine enclosures to rot a fair bit. So I had to replace those. So Billy was one of the enclosures to get replaced. This guy's such an awesome lizard. He's been nothing but pleasant ever since the day dot. At least with me. He's not such a fan of Coop anymore. But yeah, no, this is his enclosure. Got a similar background to Loki's. I actually did Billy's first, so it doesn't have that kind of rusting effect on it either. Oh yeah, he's got a few branches that are upright here. His favourite branch is definitely this one, but if he wants to get warm, he can get right up underneath the light here. And he's got one of those great Reptile 10.0 T5 UVB bulbs up there, which I've also done a review video about, and I've put them in the enclosures below him. So let's go down and check those out next. Okay, sorry about the glare. And this little enclosure here. This is actually my Kimberley rock monitor enclosure. So he resides in here. He's got a nice little basking spot up there. And recently we've installed those Reptile T5s as well. These fake rocks I actually got from my work before I worked there. They have some sort of aquarium rock ornament. I've altered a couple of them and cut out little holes like that and that just to kind of turn them into little hides. The little guy that resides in here, it's just a little fella. I refer to this guy as Mr. Wiggles. I'm not going to let him go right now because the last thing I need to do is chase him. It's going through a shed. He's a beautiful little animal. Definitely a favourite here. So I'll quickly touch base on these guys. This is my Gillens monitor enclosure. It's a little bit different to the last one where that I had in Cooper's video. That one also got destroyed in all the water coming down through the roof. So these guys scored an upgrade. The other reason that I did them into here, because I mean obviously that's a small goanna and a big enclosure, is just so I can put a couple of his kids across in there with him as well and kind of create a bit of a colony scenario. But yeah, plenty of hides, lots of timber and stuff, and there's actually quite a fair bit of dirt stacked up towards the back there. But yeah, these guys are really thriving in here so far. I'm really loving it. So this little chap here, I don't think he's ever had any love in these videos. And admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of bearded dragons at all. I find these guys a little bit on the boring side. No fault of their own, of course. And that's just my personal opinion. But this little guy's been with us for years, and it's definitely Danny's favourite lizard here. This is Sonic, named after Sonic the Hedgehog, because he was always go, go, go. He's agreeing with us now. Anyway, so he's been here for years. He's got a very simple little terrarium. He gets a bit of outdoor time and stuff as well. Quite often I'll actually put him out in the pond, let him bask out in the natural sunlight out there. He's a beautiful little dude, and he's got an awesome personality. What's your mate? There you go. There's Danny's favourite lizard, little Sonic. Okay, so the black-headed monitors are up next. This is their enclosure. It's 1200 tall, 900 wide, 600 deep. It's a Reptile 1 enclosure that's been altered. I've painted all the insides with the pond sealer just to kind of waterproof the timber a little bit further. I've also got a big barrier there just to keep all the dirt in. These guys have about 30 centimetres of dirt all the way across the bottom of their enclosure, so they can nest wherever they want, and it works perfectly. The female pretty much religiously gives me about 2 or 3 clutches a year. She of course is hiding away, as Tristas do. However, there's my big male, Razor. Him and I definitely have a bit of history together. He's a beautiful animal. He definitely knows what to do when it comes to breeding, that's for sure. I'd love to put him on a diet because he's very chunky. But yeah, unfortunately I don't actually feed him that much, but whenever I try to feed the female, he's always got to get something as well, unfortunately. So I'd love to kind of starve him a little bit and maybe get him his own enclosure for a while and just kind of put him on a bit of a diet and then put the female on a bit of a fast food diet. Yeah, that's their enclosure. Pretty simple. It's got a 10.0 UVB coil in there as well to give them a bit of UVB, and that basking spot up on that shelf during summer, in the peak of summer, that'll get up to about 90 degrees Celsius, and they'll bask at that for a couple of minutes in the morning. Other than that, we generally try to swap out the bulbs and kind of keep it at about, you know, on average about 75 degrees there. They're not always going to use it, but they'll use different levels of the enclosure to bask at. The reason I have such a hot basking temperature up there is because I'm actually using the ambient heat in the enclosure to try to get the soil down to about 25 degrees itself. So when they do lay eggs in there, the eggs kind of create their own temperature, and they'll come up to around 28, 29 degrees. But there's actually 3 snakes in here. Don't worry, not all of them live in here at once. They're all in here for breeding. Got 2 younger diamond pythons. I'm not going to get these guys out and disturb them. If you want to see these guys kind of wiggling around, you can check out Coop's video. Oh, my big female's unfortunately gone away. She's got a big hide down underneath here, but the big girl, she'd be probably 6 or 7 foot. I'll give you a look at these guys. Stunning individuals. I love seeing them perched up like that. So in this enclosure, underneath the hide here, we've actually got a large set of tiles, and in between the tiles we've got a heat cord that's wrapped up. That gets that up to about 30 degrees Celsius. Arrow, the big female, she loves that. But the two younger animals, they actually prefer sitting up here underneath the basking shelf, which is, again, they've got a little heat panel up there that's set to about 30 degrees Celsius. So on top of the diamonds there, we've actually got my pair of green tree pythons. They're in this new enclosure that I built them. This is another enclosure that I've got on video as well, so you can go back and have a look at how I built this. Lots of live plants in here. Got a bird's nest over the back, lots of pothos. This is Midori, she's my female. She's actually currently in shed. So hopefully she'll be looking a little bit more fresh in a couple of days' time. And I've got Zelen, my male, is up here. So since doing that video, I've actually added in an extra perch, which, as you can see, they're actually both using it. That's that tall one there. And I've added in a few extra plants as well, and I've got some cut palm fronds from our house. So those are just kind of adding a bit of enrichment in there. Also adds to the aesthetic. These guys have a nice big heat panel up the top there. I always try to keep it at around 28, 29 degrees thereabouts. That's a little thermometer run off a, well, the thermometer's run by itself, but it's run off a Habitat pulse proportional thermostat, the actual heat panel itself. And then the light, that's a Aquasonic. It's actually a marine one, but it's good enough for these kind of like low light plants. But yeah, nice white LED. So that's our last enclosure down in this room. I've got one more animal to show off, and then we'll wrap up this reptile room tour. So here's my last enclosure. This one's up in the bedroom. Gotta have something to watch inside. So this is my newest green tree pythons enclosure, formerly Gillens. A nice live pothos vine in here. Also got a little fern, a little palm rather. Yeah, There's little Wasabi, newest green tree python. Gorgeous little snake. He took a little while to settle in, but he got there eventually. So yeah, like most of my other enclosures, I've got the sugarcane mulch as a nice base. I've also done a few of these vertical logs in here as well, just to give him something to slither up for a bit of exercise. And he usually changes position every couple of days or something like that, but same sort of scenario where I've got the nice aquasonic LED there, got a nice heat panel there from proherp.com.au. Again, it's run on a Habitat pulse proportional thermostat. And a little thermometer in there as well. So there you have it. That's the last reptile of this reptile room tour. Little Wasabi. So there you have it, guys. That's our reptile room tour for the day. I hope you really enjoyed the video. You know, if you want to see any other animals in more detail or something like that, or if you have any ideas for further videos or anything that you want to see, just drop something, any idea in the comments below. I'm happy to hear anything. Obviously I'm not going to go out and buy animals for the sake of doing a video. That's a little bit absurd to me, but if you wanted to see something that I've already got in detail, then yeah, I'm more than happy to do another video on something, or how I've got something set up, or whatever. But anyway, before I get caught rambling, that's our video for today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like this little quick glimpse into my coral reef fish tank as well. And yeah, stick around, guys, because we're going to keep these videos rolling. Cheers. Bye.